Until that emergency happens, we tend not to think about how we depend on firefighters to protect our lives and property. It's always the police that we associate with protection and rescue operations. Yet, it's the fire department that the public deals with more often than not. Fire prevention and control, emergency medical service, inspection of buildings, safety instructions in school, dealing with the results of a devastating storm or power failure, and on and on. But in spite of all this, fire departments in many cities across the country are under attack by ill-advised politicians who claim that under the concept of public safety, money will be saved while protection will be increased. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Let's look at the facts. They'll tell you that administration won't be affected.
Generally, the hierarchy of the public safety department is police-oriented, usually with police backgrounds. Rare when the person in charge or the command is from a fire background in a consolidated situation. Therefore, their orders and their background doesn't lend itself to efficient fireground operations.
In consolidation, you always have a morale problem. You have two separate individuals trying to do the same job, a job that they weren't cut out for.
You don't save money in a public safety situation. Generally, it costs you more money and more resources in the long run. And that was our experience. That's why when I came into office in my community, I reviewed that situation and determined that the director of public safety position was no longer needed. And we eliminated that position, saving thousands of dollars, and returned to a police department and a fire department.
Well, the day-to-day involvement is a lot of planning, training to cover the areas of emergency medical service, hazard material planning and incidents and preparation, confined space rescue, natural disasters, emergency response and planning.
Saving money under consolidation is a misconception. First of all, you have to pay these PSO officers an enormous amount of money to have them do two jobs which they cannot possibly do equally as well.
Generally, good departments have full service to the community. In our department, we have some leisure time. That's, of course, on a 24-hour shift. You better have some leisure time or you won't be efficient when you do respond in the night or evening hours. But overall, we have utilized our people in public fire education, fire inspections. There are certified fire inspectors, and we also have fire prevention programs. We have the public fire education in the schools, the Learn Not to Burn program, and we're only talking about, in our situation, 20-person department. So it can be done from a small department or a large department, but you have to utilize the people. They're there willing to do the job if the administration makes the effort to start these programs and get them out into the community.
They'll tell you that emergency response time won't be affected.
One of the fallacies about public safety is that they think that they can put patrol cars out on the road and respond to fires in a quick and efficient manner. That is not true. If a police officer is responding to a run, he has to break away from that run, and sometimes he can't break away from that run because it might be an emergency situation. Then he gets to the fire, then he has to gear up. He has to secure his weapon. He has to then put on his gear. This could be 10, 15 minutes.
Where you have numerous persons and apparatus responding at different times to the incident location, the management of the incident becomes almost intolerable, and consequently the loss of property and lives.
You got one house burning. First thing you know, you got two houses burning and people's lives are at stake. You don't have the manpower there on time to do the job. I've lost 3 houses at one time because loss of manpower from the police division where they were too busy that they couldn't get to the fire. Had to call in another community to help put the fire out. And by that time, you'd have lost 3 houses already.
There were times that I was tending to one type of run and then was expected to respond to another. I remember several times that you respond in a police car to a house fire, and you're stripping off all your police gear, including your gun. I wore a bulletproof vest every day that I worked for my personal safety. Stripping off all that equipment, putting on my fire equipment and then waiting for a fire truck to get there to actually start working at that fire.
The time at which the fire apparatus and a fully ready-to-go crew is available is increased. So the response time in a public safety system, if used and started up when the first police car gets there, is a non-figure. It doesn't mean anything. It can't be used because you do not have the people available to do the work. You're just saying somebody's here. You might as well have a bus driver say he's on the scene.
Fire department.
Yes, I'm trying to make this is Highland Park calling. We need you to stand by in your quarters.
In our quarters?
Yes.
Okay.
Stand by. We have a fire at 246 Pilgrim in Highland Park.
Florida Police says that we don't need anybody for traffic detail. Lay somebody down here with some fire gear.
Radio 1665 per 1670. The personnel that's on the traffic has the fire gear. Have them to change to their fire gear.
Officer Flores only has his boots and pants.
He has one officer on a low jack and one on a robbery detail. As soon as he gets personnel available, he'll send to that location.
They'll tell you that your emergency medical service won't be affected.
I think you have to take a look at the medical portion of the public safety officer. First of all, the medical portion has always been taken care of through the fire service. As soon as a public safety officer or consolidation takes place, the medical portion suffers. The response time for an established city is usually around 3 minutes response time. It's been my experience through the private industry that response time has increased to 10 or 11 minutes.
In a consolidated situation, generally emergency medical part is hampered. They generally go to a private sector type of service, and therefore the senior citizens get less response in the quick response that's needed in emergency medical situations.
Keep in mind the fire services, for the most part, provide 4-minute response time. 4 minutes is essential for cardiac situations and or bleeding or shock situations. All the training, all the equipment in the world will do very little good if the units don't get there within a reasonable period of time. And 20, 30-minute response times are not acceptable.
Our average response time in my own community is 3 minutes. That is often the difference between life and death, between cardiac patients, emergency trauma, and so forth. Now you increase that response time, and you're going to suffer loss of life and additional property loss through times of fire.
Private organizations are businesses, and they take runs on a first come, first served basis, and therein is the major problem. Secondarily, there are user fees that are associated with private ambulance companies. When you call for those services, you pay for those services.
Unfortunately, time doesn't heal all wounds. And when the record shows how the minutes lost in EMS response under public safety can lead to serious injury, even death, it makes you wonder about the people who push it so strongly. They'll tell you that under public safety there will be considerable cost savings.
No matter how you cut it, consolidation is a misconception. It may look good on paper, but the actual process of consolidation does not work.
Consider this. Under public safety, you'll have to pay for additional costs for services such as pre-training police and fire, equipment, turnout gear, self-contained breathing apparatus, uniforms, portable radios, patrol cars, riot gear, firearms, bonuses, pensions, wage increases, increased benefits, contracting out services, hydrant maintenance, apparatus repair, EMS service fees, building maintenance, civilian fire inspectors.
The startup cost for public safety is tremendous also. And then you have the continuous training on a day-to-day basis. You also lose the manpower when these people are training, and then you're calling people in on overtime to fill these positions.
If the public knew the true feelings of the individuals that they assume are doing an excellent job, I think the public would pull the plug, take the money away, say do it another way.
Finally, they'll tell you that under public safety, the efficiency of operations won't be compromised.
You cannot be a police officer and a firefighter and do both with full efficiency. One of the professions will suffer. In most cases, it's the fire profession.
Public safety basically depletes fire services. It is the elimination of the fire department.
It is important to you, the public, to understand two things about the fire service. We are charged with the responsibility of saving lives and protecting property. Claimed by pro-public safety concepts that there are dollars to be saved, there is more efficiency, or there is more productivity in a public safety concept are just plainly not true.
Under consolidation, an individual doing both jobs, it's very inefficient because the demands on the police department, the number of incidents that they handle is quite a bit larger than the incidents that the fire department handles. The difference, however, is that the incidents that the fire department handles are usually more severe incidents and more demanding. And with a consolidated department, the individuals involved there generally have 90% of their efforts towards police work and 10% towards fire. And any person can realize that the efficiencies then are going to be in the police area and not in the fire area. And that's the most critical part.
You ask a public safety officer to go get a Halligan tool off the fire engine. 5 minutes later, you walk over and show them what a Halligan tool is. Efficiency is lost, more so because you're not training as a team.
As firefighters, we feel it is our responsibility to inform and warn you, the public, to step up and speak up. Demand, as tax-paying citizens, your right to quality services. Ultimately, the choice is yours. Do you want to have the protection of your homes, businesses, and the very lives of your loved ones in the hands of tested, caring, and thoroughly trained professionals? Or would you rather listen to the misguided politicians and their empty promises of substandard protection? The answer is obvious. Make your statement loud and clear. Reject public safety.
It's important to remember what the fire service is all about. Let us not forget we're about saving lives, saving property. We're about doing it in a 4-minute period of time. We're about rapid response. Don't give that up for a big lie.
A municipal fire department. Better protection at a better cost.